Hey there, comic book fans. This is Travis.
And I'm Ethan.
And this is...
Monster Comic Reviews.
That's right. This is for the last week of December. I want to say 28th or something like that. I don't know what it is. Anyway, last week of December. Final books of 2011. We'll jump right into it, and the first one's going to be...
All-Star Western number 4.
Yep. I'm getting a kick out of this book. I like the stylized art of Morat. I like the Jonah Hex character. He's pretty interesting as a whole. It's curious to see how they're going to keep him stuck in the city, since he tends to be a bounty hunter that wanders around and whatnot. In this one, of course, they've got lots of money, and that's what's keeping him there in town. And it starts us out on a new storyline of him looking for some kids down in the sewers. And then he has a backup story with a new character, and her name is drawing a blank. I want to say, yeah, that's what it is. I knew what it was until we did the review. The Barbarigos, which is a brand new character just made up. I like the beginning of this backup. I question her costume a little bit. Seems a little gappy, but I like the idea of it and whatnot. I'm assuming she's not actually super powered so much as she's just using fireworks type stuff to, smoke and mirrors kind of a thing and whatnot. I kind of like the way it's portrayed in it too. I think that this issue as a whole, for the beginning part of the story, is a pretty decent setup for what the next, for what we're going to get out of the next one and whatnot. Of course, gets them immediately into trouble, since they can't seem to have a nice plan and it work out the way it's supposed to. There's some, fun bits in it and whatnot. What did you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was a great setup for the new story. I mean, you always have to have a Western in a sewer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially in Gotham.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're in Gotham, there's going to be sewers, right?
Yeah. I like the art, and it was cool to see Jonah Hex settle his grudge with the 3 brothers.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I liked it. It was good. And then how does that happen? How do you get a giant children slave mine in the middle of Gotham sewers?
Well, obviously they've been snatching kids for years, right? I mean, that's the implication, is this has been going on for years and whatnot. Well, if you're stealing the poor kids, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's how you get going. Question is, what are they mining?
I don't know.
Do you think it's simply that they're just mining gold and whatnot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Gotham, so it could be, but...
Or it could be something more sinister than that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious to see if we end up seeing some of these... we know there's the old sewers, even in the current modern times of Batman and Gotham and whatnot. I'm curious if we'll get to see these other caves and whatnot. Because obviously that goes beyond the sewers.
Yeah.
So we'll be curious to see what that is.
Yeah. Where do you think the guy got $50,000? I mean, I know it's his kid. I know there was wealthy people back then, but $50,000, that's
a lot.
Insane. Especially back then.
Sure. I don't know. He's obviously one of the more successful businessmen. Where he gets that money from, I don't know.
Yeah, but...
Well, but that's just it, though, right? It seems to be even in the real world, there are those that have lots of money. He just wants people with lots of money. So it'd be like Bill Gates paying $30 million to have somebody do something.
Yeah.
For Bill Gates, that's not a lot of money because he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So this guy must be the equivalent of a billionaire in some sense.
Yeah, I guess.
Would be my guess and whatnot. Just as a funny side note, your mom read this comic also, and she was commenting on the fact that nobody seems to freak out too much over Hex's messed up face. Of course, then right after she said that, as she's reading it, of course, then it has the nun who, at least makes the comment that she doesn't want him to go in and disturb all the poor children.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that has to do with the way it looks and whatnot. Well, I happen to go on Twitter and I follow the two authors, Justin Gray and Jimmy Famani, and I asked, my wife wants to know how come people aren't freaked out more over by Hex's face and whatnot, and I implied that I told her that that's because Hex will shoot him if they do. Jimmy did reply and said that there were a lot of bear attacks back in those days, and it was impolite to point. Was his reply back to it. So there you have that as far as that goes. All-Star Western number 4. What would you rate it?
I give it a 4.
I give it a 3. Nothing exceptional happened in this one, but it was entertaining. It was an average run comic for me, so I give it a 3. Okay, next up we're going to talk about Batman Incorporated, Leviathan Strikes, the one-shot.
It was okay. I mean, I liked parts of it, and there's other parts that I thought were okay.
Yeah.
Like, at the end, when you find out it's not Jezebel and it's just Talia who's running Leviathan, I mean, I know it's like, oh, it's just Talia. But, I don't know, I thought it was a lot more interesting and more fun when it was Jezebel who could have been running it, and not Talia.
Why is that? So you think Jezebel's a more interesting character, even though as a whole she was a girlfriend and who had a serious hate for Batman for a while, right? There towards the end.
Yeah.
Right? And then last time we saw her before this is she's attacked by that swarm of bats.
Yeah.
Back in the old...
I thought that was more interesting because we've seen Talia enough, and I don't know, it just seems like in certain points of Batman, it seems like it's just Talia trying to kill Batman. It's like, oh, we're going to have this arc, and this arc, and this arc, and then Talia's going to try to kill Batman.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll have this arc, and this arc, and this arc, and then Talia's going to try again.
Mm.
And I thought it was a lot more interesting when we had Jezebel, because, I mean, even though Jezebel wasn't some great mind, it was still interesting seeing her in cohorts with the Black Glove.
Ah, I see. Now, for me, I don't want to make the statement just Talia, because I mean Talia is a pretty big heavyweight in the grand scheme of things. I mean, she basically controls, beside Ra's al Ghul, she controls the Brotherhood of Assassins and whatnot. So, I guess for me, I was just disappointed that it was Talia, because that just seemed like an easy answer, and this seemed very elaborate for her.
Yeah.
For what she would, I mean, so she wants to break him down and whatnot. I don't know. I was hoping it was going to be somebody totally new.
That would have been cool too.
That was what I was hoping for. I was hoping we were going to get to see something totally new. Some new mastermind out there that was going to be the new Batman nemesis. Whereas, from what I've read, well, for anybody who doesn't know, this basically is part of the old DC universe, and it ties up the storylines that they didn't get finished up before they started the relaunch. And they decided to say that it happened before the relaunch, which I think's in itself a mistake. They should just release the darn things when they were releasing them instead of stopping it and then starting it back up again. I have to admit, this is basically the equivalent of 2 issues in this. The first issue is the issue that was supposed to come out that had Stephanie Brown in it, and in this they continue to have her be Batgirl. That was fun, so that was enjoyable to see her as Batgirl. Mm-hmm. Not quite as charming as what she is in her own title, of course, because it's not written by Brian Q. Miller, but it was fun to see her back doing her thing.
Yep.
So that was enjoyable. The second half of it has some interesting stuff in it. It has the kind of standard Grant Morrison, you don't really know for sure what's actually happening and what's a hallucination kind of thing, which is cool, and maybe getting a little hat with Batman. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed towards the end of this thing when it came down to the fact we find out at the very end, it's Talia, and this is gonna be a big fight over Damian. This is going to be break Batman down and get Damian back. That's
Really?
Well, going forward, that's supposedly what's going to be. Grant Morrison has said that basically the Batman Incorporated going forward is going to be Kramer versus Kramer, except the Kramers both have nuclear weapons. Of course, you're not familiar with the movie Kramer versus Kramer. It was a very famous late 70s to mid 80s, I can't remember exactly when it came out, movie about this couple getting divorced and they have a kid and they fight over the kid. They do everything they can to get the kid. I mean, they try and tear each other down with lawyers and all kinds of stuff to get this kid. So, of course, in the case of Batman and Talia, it's not going to be lawyers because that's going to have nothing to do with it. It's going to be...
Yeah.
I mean, so, I don't know. This has been announced as being a new title that's going to come out in the middle of the year, and it's going to replace some of the titles that they're getting rid of. And I'm not sure... I don't know. I collect most of the Batman titles. I'm not really excited about this title right now. And I'm curious. The only thing that I'm really curious about is to see how they're going to make the Batman Incorporated thing work going into the future, because it doesn't have the same publicity that it had in the old DC universe. But as a whole, I don't know. I was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
For me at the end of it to find out who it was. I mean, I didn't mind the fact that it wasn't Jezebel Jet, and I love how they find Jezebel Jet. She's seen better days, obviously. So I mean, but that part was all interesting and whatnot. Like I said, I just really wanted it to be somebody new. I wanted it to be some sinister thing. I wanted it to be some twisted something or other. You got all these. Grant Morrison did a good job of making these new characters that are all strange and twisted and whatnot. Pig and all that kind of stuff. I was really expecting this to be the case, and instead, it's Talia. Not that I have anything against Talia, because Talia's kick-ass, she's cool and whatnot. She's obviously not lame, or she wouldn't have had Bruce Wayne / Batman's baby.
Yeah.
So, there is that, and there's an interesting story there. There's an interesting story on her trying to get the kid back. I just wish that was a different story other than the Leviathan thing.
Yeah.
What do you think of this comic? What'd you rate it?
I'd say like a 2.5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I give it a 3 because I like the first half of it. I like the fact that Stephanie was in it. I like Cameron Stewart's art and that part of it, that issue. The second issue is Chris Bringham. I'm not a real big fan of his art style and whatnot. I wasn't really excited about it when it was being released before. So that's what I'm going to give it. It was still somewhat interesting. It's a quick question. Now, they kill off some heroes in this, right? They don't really show them killed off, but they imply they're killed off. So in this, before the relaunch, Batwing gets killed?
He does?
Doesn't he? Well, there's like a swarm of bats. He's like, he's trying to... And the British superhero, doesn't he get...
Yeah, he gets killed.
He gets killed.
He gets killed.
There's a couple of them that go. I mean, they imply.
I know the Russian guy gets killed.
Yeah, so, I don't know. At any rate, I don't know. Yeah, 3, in a week 3, just because I'm disappointed with the ending of it and who the power source is.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, for this half...
we have the Fury of Firestorm, the Nuclear Men.
And this is the last issue that I'm paying money for.
Yeah, that's okay.
I love Firestorm. I kind of like the idea of this Firestorm to some degree. It's just none of it is executed very well. I don't mind the art, but beyond that, the rest of it is, I mean, I kind of like the idea of there being a Firestorm protocol and there being these potentially other Firestorms out there. Because any country that has a Firestorm working for them is extremely powerful. And the terrorist thing in here, the potential terrorist plot, that's all potentially interesting and stuff. There might be some interesting to the fact is that, of course, the people who are out to kill or put down or arrest or suppress our two main Firestorm characters have now turned around at the end of it and are offering them a job, right?
Yeah.
The same, right?
Yeah, it's
the same people who sick the big guy after him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the whole, they combine together to make this Fury of Firestorm thing. That doesn't,
I guess.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it's kind of all over the place, which to some degree surprises me.
Yeah.
The creators that are on it, I like them. But this book feels poorly executed. I believe this is the last book I actually had on my poll, so it's the last one I'm spending any money on, which bums me out to some degree because I'm a Firestorm fan.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. What's with the guy on the plane? I mean, so the Firestar comes and blows up the guy who's selling Firestorm protocols. He blows up his plane.
Right.
And as the guy's falling, he yells, "Help me!" But then later on, he pops into a firestorm. So the guy just blew up your plane.
Right.
Why would he help you? Why wouldn't you just?
I think he was hoping to get rescued. I think he was hoping to not expose himself as being a Firestorm Protocol person also. I think he was wanting to keep that hidden. That's the only thing I could make of it was that, okay, so he's wanting to play the victim for as long as he can, and then maybe use it to his advantage, and then pop out the Firestorm Protocol later on and go, I didn't test it on these people first. I used it on me,
I guess.
And then he got nuked anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's a failsafe.
Yeah.
So does that mean that... that's one curious question I had was, does that mean that Ronnie and Jason have a failsafe in them?
Well...
That this guy can just fly up and
assumedly
give
so.
whatever the failsafe is and just hose them?
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty screwed then, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
It was okay. I didn't like the art that much. And I don't like the characters that much either.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's not enough about them to be likable.
Nope.
You know, even if the story itself was a mess, if the characters were interesting, I could see sticking around until they got themselves squared away.
Yeah, they're just kind of there.
Yep. So, unfortunately, us Firestorm fans aren't real happy with this. We aren't happy with it anyway.
No.
I know there are those that are. So, what would you rank this thing?
2.
Yep. I give it a 2. Because I can't remember ever hanging out a 1 to anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll give it a 2. Because somebody did some work on it, but yeah. Nope. No more. That ends our very quick, hopefully, half for this time. We've got more comics. Like I said, we always try to split these up because we always end up with 8 or 9 comics to review each week, and sometimes we talk too long, and then it makes for incredibly long videos that people won't necessarily want to sit through. So, and we'd like for you to sit through them. So, as soon as this one gets loaded up to YouTube, you'll be seeing the second one, hopefully right behind it, okay? So, stick around. We'll be right back.